Have you ever stopped to think about the hidden tech, the stuff working behind the scenes, making our air cleaner,
Yeah.
especially from, big industrial sites?
Yeah, or just how these innovations impact our daily lives in ways we don't even really notice.
Exactly. So today we're pulling back the curtain on one really crucial piece of that puzzle, scrubbers. These vital devices tackling air pollution head on. And all our insights for this deep dive, they come straight from some fascinating excerpts, specifically from the Global Scrubber Market Forecast 2033 by Cognitive Market Research.
Right. Our mission today is pretty straightforward. We want to unpack what these scrubbers actually do,
Yeah.
explore why they're becoming so critical, like everywhere, and really dig into what this market forecast tells us about their growth.
Where it's happening, who's growing fastest.
Precisely. Think of this as, well, your shortcut to understanding a really vital, expanding sector, one that's fundamentally shaping environmental rules worldwide.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What exactly are these scrubbers we're diving into today? What makes them tick?
So basically, scrubbers are essential air pollution control devices. Their main job, to grab harmful stuff.
Harmful stuff like what?
Well, things like tiny particulate matter, this stuff that makes smog, and also acidic gases, think sulfur oxides, SOx and nitrogen oxides, LX, contributors to acid rain.
Right.
Scrubbers pull these pollutants right out of industrial exhaust streams before they hit the atmosphere.
Okay, proactive.
Exactly. And they're surprisingly versatile. You find them everywhere. Marine shipping, oil and gas, chemical plants, power stations,
A
manufacturing,
lot of
a
answers.
huge range.
Yeah.
And it's not just about ticking regulatory boxes. It's fundamentally about cutting harmful emissions, improving air quality for everyone.
Okay, so that leads to the next big question. We're seeing this market grow fast. What's really fueling this demand for scrubbers? Is it one single factor or?
No, it's more like a perfect storm, really. The report points to three key things working together.
Okay.
First, there's just this undeniable global push for cleaner emissions. It's a societal demand now, right?
Def-
Then, alongside that, you've got governments everywhere rolling out stricter regulations, more teeth in those environmental laws.
Makes sense.
And third, technology itself isn't standing still. We're seeing major advancements in these exhaust treatment systems, getting more efficient, cheaper, easier to adapt.
So better tech makes it easier to comply.
Precisely. It accelerates adoption. It's kind of a triple boost for the market.
So with this surge happening, what does it mean for the global market overall? Can you give us the big picture numbers?
Yeah, the global scale is pretty striking. Back in 2021, the market was already close to $2 billion, 1,975.22 million to be exact.
Nearly 2 billion.
And it's not slowing down, the
Right.
projection. Over $2.5 billion, 2,517.27 million by 2025.
Okay.
And then it really takes off. Expected to hit 4,088.48 million by 2033. That's more than double the 2021 figure.
Doubling in about a decade.
Yep. And that translates to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 6.25% across that whole forecast period.
6.25%. Sustained growth.
Right. And that kind of consistent expansion makes you wonder, okay, what are the regional stories? What's driving it in different parts of the world?
Good question. Let's zoom in on that. How about we start with North America?
Yeah.
It's a major industrial base. How's it looking there?
North America is definitely significant. Started at over $500 million in 2021, 560.962 million.
Right.
And it's projected to grow substantially, reaching almost $1.1 billion by 2033. So $1,099.8 million. That's nearly doubling, too.
And within North America, I assume the U.S. is the big player.
Predictably, yes. The U.S. market alone is huge. It accounted for $493.646 million in 2021 and is forecast to reach $941.43 million by 2033. Still a very strong growth trajectory.
What about Canada and Mexico? Similar trends.
Well, this is quite interesting. Canada, while starting smaller, shows really remarkable proportional growth.
oh.
Yeah, its market is set to more than double, from about $51.6 million in 2021 to over $133 million by 2033.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It really is. Suggests maybe a strong push from new environmental policies or specific industry focus up there. Mexico shows solid growth too, just on a smaller base, climbing steadily.
That Canadian growth is definitely something to watch. How does that compare to, say, Europe? Another mature market.
Right, let's cross the Atlantic. Europe's showing impressive momentum as well. Started just under $500 million in 2021, $493.804 million.
Wow.
And it's also projected to nearly double, hitting $956.705 million by 2033.
Similar overall growth to North America then.
Pretty similar overall percentage growth, yeah. But what's fascinating in Europe is how widespread it is across different economies.
No, so.
Well, take Germany, big
Oh,
industrial base, right? Set to grow almost 90% from about $87 million to $164.5 million. France, similar story, nearly 98% growth from $76 million to $150 million.
strong numbers.
And it's not just the big players. Italy, Russia, Spain, they're all projected to see their scrubber markets more than double by 2033. Even smaller economies like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland show consistent, strong growth.
So it's really a continent-wide trend.
Exactly. It points to, broad commitment, probably driven by EU-wide directives and shared air quality goals.
That's a powerful collective picture. Now let's shift to Asia Pacific, often seen as the engine of industrial growth, right? How's that playing out in the scrubber market? Any surprises?
Asia Pacific is, well, it's the dominant force in this forecast. It was already the largest market in 2021 at over $626 million.
Already the biggest.
Yes. But the projected growth is huge, an increase of about 121%. It's expected to reach nearly $1.4 billion, specifically $1,388.04 million by 2033.
Wow, $1.4 billion. That cements its lead.
Absolutely. China, as you might expect, leads this charge. Its market is set to nearly triple by 2033.
Okay.
But here's a really big story. India. The growth trajectory there is remarkable, projected to almost triple its market size, too, from around $92 million to over $252 million.
Triple. That's massive growth.
It is. It really reflects the scale of industrialization happening,
Yeah.
plus the increasing regulatory focus on emissions in those key economies.
And other countries in the region.
Japan, South Korea, Australia, all showing very strong, consistent growth as well. Even Southeast Asia, as a bloc, is growing significantly. It's a widespread adoption across the continent.
That scale in Asia Pacific really highlights the emissions challenge there, but also the scale of the response. Okay, shifting gears again, South America, what's the picture there?
South America's market, while smaller overall, is definitely on a clear upward path.
Growing too.
Yes, projected to more than double between 2021 and 2033, from about $128 million to roughly $280 million.
And who's leading in South America?
Brazil is the main driver. Its market is forecast to more than double, hitting over $111 million. But Argentina and Colombia are also showing strong growth, both expected to more than double their markets too.
So increasing adoption across the board there as well.
Seems like it. Suggests growing environmental awareness, maybe stricter regulations starting to bite, driving that tech adoption.
Okay. How about the Middle East? Lots of energy production there. I imagine scrubbers are pretty relevant.
You're spot on. The Middle East market is projected to grow quite significantly, over 128%.
Higher percentage than some other regions then.
Yes. Percentage-wise, it's very strong growth. Starting from $75 million in 2021, it's expected to reach over $171 million by 2033.
And the key countries?
Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the UAE are the main growth engines here, all forecast to see big increases in their scrubber markets.
What does that tell us?
Well, it's compelling, isn't it? Even regions traditionally focused heavily on resource extraction are now seriously investing in these cleaner industrial processes. It shows this global shift towards sustainability is really taking hold, even in the energy sector.
A truly global trend then. Finally, let's touch on Africa. What's the outlook for scrubber adoption across that diverse continent?
Africa's market is also set for substantial growth, projected to more than double.
From what base?
From around $91 million in 2021 up to nearly $192 million by 2033.
Okay. Any standout countries?
Nigeria is a significant player. Its market is expected to more than double, reaching over $83 million. This likely reflects growing industrial activity and related environmental efforts. South Africa also shows robust growth, again more than doubling its market by 2033.
So growth across the continent mirroring the global picture.
Yes, the growth in various African nations really underscores the global reach of this technology. It makes you consider that universal drive for cleaner air. It's not just confined to the traditionally developed world.
It really does. Okay, so let's try to sum this up. What we've clearly seen today, digging into this forecast, is that the global scrubber market isn't just growing, it's on a really significant upward path.
Undeniable, yeah.
It's moved beyond being niche tech. It's being pushed hard by, well, stricter environmental rules everywhere, and also by better, more efficient technology.
The two working together.
Exactly. And what's really striking is this isn't just one or two regions pulling the weight. We're seeing strong, steady expansion across, well, pretty much all major global markets.
Which really leads to a bigger question, doesn't it? Beyond just the market figures, the dollars and cents,
Go on.
how will this sustained growth, this wider adoption of scrubbers, actually impact global air quality in the next decade and public health? And thinking further, what other innovations might this spur, in related green technologies as the pressure keeps mounting?
That's the crucial follow-on question. We hope this deep dive today maybe gets you thinking about these technologies, the ones often working unseen, but making a real difference to our environment.
Yeah, it's more than just data.
Right. This market information, it really reveals a deep global commitment to achieving cleaner air for all of us. So what does it mean for you? Well, it means being informed about the real solutions, the tech that's actively shaping our environmental future, starting right now. Ever think about that invisible fight happening every day? The one to clean up the air, especially from big industrial sites. Companies are constantly wrestling with this. They've got complex regulations, but they also need to keep things running. So today we're doing the deep dive into the scrubber market. It's pretty dynamic right now. Now, for those maybe not deep in the weeds here, scrubbers are basically systems, essential ones, designed to pull pollutants out of exhaust gases. Think of them like unsung heroes working away behind the scenes. They help industry shipping, power plants meet those tough regulations and, well, be more sustainable. Our mission today, looking at all the info we've gathered, is to really unpack what's driving the growth here, what challenges they're facing, and the exciting trends shaping things up.
Yeah, and what's really compelling, I think, is that it's not just about a piece of kit or a rule book. It's this story of innovation meeting, well, the economic reality, right?
Yeah.
And it's all tied up with environmental responsibility. It genuinely affects global trade, how efficient it is, and even the air quality in cities where, you might live. It's all connected.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. So if we're looking for the main engine behind this market growth, it's got to be those stricter global emission rules, right? We're seeing them tighten up everywhere, shipping, power, chemical plants. What specific rules really kickstarted this whole thing?
Well, the marine sector is like the perfect example. That IMO 2020 rule, limiting sulfur in ship fuel to 0.5%, that was huge. It basically forced shipping companies into a tough spot. Do they switch to really expensive, low sulfur fuel or double down on their existing ships? And many did, especially the big players with bulk carriers, container ships. They chose to retrofit scrubbers. It wasn't just about ticking a box for compliance. It actually, extended the life of their vessels and let them keep using the cheaper high sulfur fuel. Big win for efficiency there.
Right, so it kept costs down in a way, but it wasn't just IMO 2020 driving it, was it? Because post-COVID, we saw global trade bounce back, right? That must be pushing demand too.
Absolutely. As trade volumes picked up, more ships needed upgrading. And it wasn't just international rules anymore. You've got these increasingly strict regional standards too, especially near coasts and in busy ports.
You mean those ECAs, the emission control areas?
Exactly. Think Europe, parts of Southeast Asia, North America. These zones have tighter rules, often about discharging the treated water from certain types of scrubbers. So for a ship sailing globally, moving in and out of these areas, having a capable scrubber on board becomes pretty much essential to stay compliant everywhere.
Okay, that makes sense for shipping.
Yeah.
But you said it gets interesting on the industrial side too, beyond just the ships, like manufacturing, chemical plants.
Yeah.
Especially in Asia Pacific, China, India, Vietnam, places that are growing fast.
Precisely. That's a huge part of the picture now. Specific industries, cement making, steel processing, petrochemicals, they're all installing gas scrubbers. They need to manage a whole cocktail of pollutants. So that sulfur dioxide causes acid rain. NOx, nitrogen oxides, big part of smog, ammonia, VOCs, those volatile organic compounds from solvents.
Wow, quite a list.
Yeah. And what's really pushing it in those emerging markets is government action. They're rolling out pollution control programs, offering financial help, but also hitting polluters with penalties, enforcing rules more strictly. It basically forces factories to see scrubbers as, well, essential infrastructure.
Okay, so there's definitely strong momentum.
Yeah.
But like any market, it can't be all smooth sailing. There must be headwinds.
Okay.
Let's talk about the big one first, cost. High initial investment, ongoing maintenance. That sounds like a major hurdle.
It really is. You've got the significant upfront cost for the scrubber unit itself. Then the installation, which is complex, and don't forget the downtime for the ship or plant while it's being fitted. That costs money too.
Right. And it doesn't stop there, does it?
No, not at all. The life cycle costs, things like regular pump checks, making sure corrosion isn't setting in, and critically dealing with the waste residues, that all adds up. It definitely puts off smaller companies, SMEs, especially if they're in really cost-sensitive markets, unless, there are significant government grants or very clear mandates pushing them.
You mentioned waste.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's dig into that, particularly for wet scrubbers. They clean the air, but then you've got this contaminated water and sludge. It kind of sounds like you fix one problem and create another one.
That's often the criticism, yeah. It's a genuine operational burden. This waste isn't something you can just dump. It has to be processed very carefully, following strict marine discharge rules or local environmental laws. Get it wrong, you're looking at hefty fines, or for ships, maybe even being detained in port. It's serious stuff.
And that raises another point, maybe a longer-term challenge. What about alternative fuels? We hear a lot about LNG, methanol, biofuels. They burn cleaner, right? Could they make scrubbers, well, redundant eventually?
That's the big strategic question hanging over the industry. These alternatives definitely simplify compliance because basically you don't need the exhaust cleaning system anymore. The fuel itself is clean enough.
They're more expensive, aren't they?
Currently, yes, significantly so in many cases, but you are seeing them being adopted more and more, especially in brand new ships and next-gen power plants. So existing operators have this tough choice. Stick with the proven scrubber tech now, which works with cheaper fuel, or make a bigger bet on these new fuels to kind of future-proof their assets. Even if the cost benefit takes years to play out, it's a real fork in the road.
Okay, challenge is acknowledged, but, innovation usually finds a way. What's happening on that front? How are companies navigating these issues? I read about hybrid scrubber systems becoming more popular.
Yes, they are. Hybrid systems are quite clever, actually. They offer flexibility. They can switch between open loop mode using seawater and closed loop mode recirculating treated fresh water with additives.
So they adapt.
Exactly. They adapt based on where the ship is and what the local rules are. So when they enter one of those strict ECAs where you can't discharge the wash water overboard, they switch to closed loop. It means they can stay compliant everywhere without constantly having to switch to more expensive fuel types. It's about maximizing operational flexibility.
Makes sense. And what about tech integration? Digital monitoring, automation? That seems like a big trend across many industries.
Oh, absolutely. And it's transforming scrubbers, too. What's fascinating here is the use of IoT Internet of Things. Scrubbers are now being fitted with these smart, connected sensors. They keep tabs on emissions in real time. They can run diagnostics automatically, even predict when maintenance is needed before something breaks.
So less guesswork, fewer errors.
Precisely. It cuts down on the need for constant human checks and reduces the chance of mistakes. Imagine an automated SOx scrubber unit. It can adjust how intensely it's scrubbing based on the engine's load and the actual emissions coming out. Super efficient.
And I bet that helps with the paperwork, too. Audits and inspections.
Huge help. These digital systems create a clear data trail. It makes regulatory audits much smoother and increases transparency for inspectors. That's a big plus for compliance.
Okay, so we've got the drivers, the challenges, the tech trends. What does this map look like globally? Where's the real action happening? You mentioned Asia-Pacific earlier.
Yes, Asia-Pacific is definitely the powerhouse for growth right now. It's a combination of factors. You've got massive industrial expansion happening, plus intense maritime activity. Look at South Korea and Japan. They're building up capacity in their shipyards to install scrubbers directly, becoming sort of hubs for this technology. And then you have China, where government policies on emission control are really strict now, pushing factories across the board to adopt air purification tech, including scrubbers.
And connecting this back to the listener, you mentioned air quality earlier. In those huge Asian megacities, Shanghai, Mumbai, Jakarta, the pollution struggle is real. So adopting scrubbers, there isn't just an industrial issue. It's becoming like a public health necessity, wouldn't you say? A visible step towards cleaner air for millions.
Absolutely. It's increasingly seen that way. And governments in the region are noticing they're also investing heavily in green port infrastructure. That means things like better facilities for handling scrubber waste, providing alternative fuels, making the whole port ecosystem cleaner. And of course, that just further boosts the demand for marine emission control systems like scrubbers. It creates this kind of positive feedback loop.
Right. So wrapping up our deep dive then, it really feels like this market is caught right in the middle of environmental pressure, hard economic choices, and some pretty cool technological advances. It's a complex space, constantly changing, and it touches so many parts of our modern world, from global trade to local air.
Yeah, and stepping back, maybe final thought to chew on. If we connect this to the bigger picture, how might this ongoing evolution, with alternative fuels gaining ground and digital tech getting smarter, how might that fundamentally change the role of traditional emission controls like scrubbers in the coming decades? Will they stay central or maybe morph into just one part of a much bigger, more integrated green system for industries and ships? It's an open question.
Exactly. Food for thought. What stands out to you listening to this? What's the future hold for cleaning up industrial emissions, and what other big shifts might be just over the horizon?